Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Boxes of Comics. I am your host, Chase Higgins, and this week's episode we will be continuing What If Boxes of Comics was in charge of, and we are focusing on Amazing Spider Man 3. So, as you know, there is the Amazing Spider Man movies with Andrew Garfield as the title's character. It starred Emma Stone as Gwen Stacy. And it only got 2 movies instead of 3 because Sony decided to team up with Marvel once they realized it sucked doing Spider-Man on their own. And then Tom Holland took over the picture. He just finished a trilogy. But in this universe, we are going to do What If Boxes of Comics was in charge of blank. And this week's blank is Amazing Spider-Man 3. So, let's begin. So before I go any further, I just want you to know that for this entire series, I'm going to be using what's called my Story Circle workbook. And it's something that I found off of YouTube, actually. I'm sure you could YouTube it or Google it. And it's by Studio Binder. And it tells you exactly how to write a story. So that's kind of how I base everything and make sure everything else is organized. So the first thing I need in a story is a character or a you. So our you is going to be Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield, Peter Parker. And in the story workbook, it says this is the undisturbed status quo of the protagonist. This leads to the point of attack. So our you is going to be in Amazing Spider-Man 3. Peter Parker dresses up in his special suit up as a superhero. Calls himself Spider-Man. And fights New York City bad guys. So there's that. You can see this is our you. This is who the character is. This is what our story is about. Now it's what we do with the character. So, coming off of Amazing Spider-Man 2, his best friend Harry tried to kill him. Harry's locked up in a prison. His girlfriend tried to save him. His girlfriend is dead. He graduated high school. And yeah, he's kind of a loner right now. So we'll see what happens. So from our you, I need a need. So this is the creation of our story. It leads to defining the main tension. So the need in our story. If I remember the Amazing Spider-Man movies, which I don't, I never watch them. I think they're garbage, but that's besides the point. Let's involve Oscorp in this a bit more because Andrew needs to find out what happened to his parents, or Peter Parker, I guess, does. So the need in this story is Peter Parker Peter Parker is searching for answers about his parents. Comma. We'll say Peter Parker is searching for answers about his parents, needs to find out how they disappeared. Or need Peter Parker is searching the answers about the parents, needs to find out for how they disappeared, and we'll say, yeah, I think that's good. All right. Now it's time for our. Don't want to make that too big. Time for our go. So, we need to figure out on like why accomplishing this goal is going to be difficult for Peter Parker, right? So, what exactly needs to go on with Peter to think to do? I don't know. Let's see. Peter Parker dresses up as a superhero, calls himself Spider-Man, fights New York City bad guys. He is searching for answers about his parents, needs to find out how they disappeared. The go. Let's say to put plan into motion. Spider-Man to put plan into motion. Spider-Man helps this one I should bring in a new character. Let's see. What? Let me think of Spider-Man villains. Not. Let me pull this up. Hang on. Top 10 Spider-Man villains not yet done in movies. Let's see. I don't want to watch on YouTube. You know what? I think they were gonna do Black Cat. So let's add Black Cat in here. I think that would be interesting. Yeah. Okay, so To get his plan into motion, Spider-Man helps Spider-Man finds Black Cat at Oscorp Spider-Man finds Black Cat at Oscorp. Wow. Looking for info about his parents. Okay. Search. The go, the need, the you. Time for the search. The first attempt to resolve the main tension, the road of trials. So we'll say when Peter finds info from Oscorp and Daily Bugle. We'll throw in the Daily Bugle there too. Maybe he'll get a job in between. He'll because he's out of high school now, he'll have to be in college. And so maybe he goes to there could be a scene where he goes to the Daily Bugle, he talks to Jameson, or he'll talk to Robbie because he'll probably be in charge. Jameson's the head honcho, so you're talking to Psychic Command. And while he's at the Daily Bugle, he'll also look at stuff for his parents. But when Peter finds info from Oscorp and Daily Bugle about parents, and goes to house to put pieces together. But Spidey is needed when... Okay, who's going to be our villain? I think it needs to be someone not done yet before, so we could do Craven, Scorpion, Hobgoblin, Chameleon, Tombstone, Mr. Negative, Hydro Man, Hammerhead, Man-Wolf, then Forcers. I'm going to do Craven because he has a bit done. He's pretty popular. Let's do Craven. So we're going to have Black Cat and Craven in this movie. When Craven goes to the house to put pieces together, but Spidey is needed when Kraven attacks NYC looking for Spider-Man. I think this could be interesting because you have a new anti-hero / love interest for Spider-Man and Black Cat. You can do a big game hunter in Craven, and he's like, oh, there's a spider in New York City, and he is notorious for wanting that great hunt to collect. And I think that might be pretty interesting to do if we do Craven. So we'll do Craven. Then we're moving on to our find. So we search and now we find. You know what? I think also I might want to do Kingpin. No. Who? Because I feel like Peter would find something. It would be attached to a crime boss. Let's do Tombstone. Whatever. When Peter finds info from Oscorp and Daily Bugle about parents tied to Tombstone, let's see, when Peter finds info from Oscorp and Daily Bugle about his parents tied to Tombstone, Peter goes after him. But Craven makes presence known in NYC. Boom. So this will put a love interest in the movie because everybody in Hollywood loves love interest. In Black Cat, you're going to have a crime boss, which hasn't been done before in Spider-Man, and Tombstone. But on the way to find Tombstone, Kraven the Hunter will make his presence felt. So now we move on to our find. I think that works. Let's see. Okay, well, Peter thinks that he needs answers. So Peter goes to Tombstone. Doesn't like what he hears about his parents. Say, Peter goes to Tombstone, doesn't like what he hears about his parents, comes back as Spider-Man. So he'll come back like later that night as Spider-Man, but Black Cat already in pursuit of Tombstone. So then we'll say our take is that while Peter thinks that the Tombstone situation is handled, he'll then focus on Craven. So Spider-Man gives Craven to police. But it turns out, but Tombstone breaks him free. And Black Cat. Let's see. Spider-Man gets Craven to police. Tombstone breaks him free. Actually, I think we'll do this. Let's say, because this is really hard to do when you're thinking of like a story just from start, you know? So we'll say Spider-Man Hang on, I got a better idea. Let's go back to the find. It says Peter will go to Tombstone, doesn't like what he hears about his parents, comes back later as Spider-Man, but Black Cat is already in pursuit. But so instead of that, but sees Craven attacking Black Cat, whose Spidey sees as a hurt rather than a help. Then Peter will see that Tombstone got away. He'll be upset because he had his one chance to is one chance to figure out the truth about his parents. So then the take will be Spidey gives Black Cat to police. Police. Craven will trap Spider-Man. Will trap Spidey. Trap Spider-Man. Let's say he finds out his identity. Will trap Spidey. Find out he's Peter Parker. Tell that to Tombstone. Who gets upset when he hears the news. Then it goes into the return. So then the return, because I don't want to erase this. Let's see if I can't make it smaller. For Peter Parker, I'm just going to do a P and another P. Dresses up as Spider-Man, fights YC. Bad guys. Okay. Our need, once again, is Peter Parker searching for answers about parents to find why they disappeared. May doesn't want to talk about it. Okay, that's our need. Then our go Spidey runs into Black Cat at Oscorp while looking for info about parents. Then our search is info found and ties parents to Tombstone. When going to confront Craven attacks and distracts Spider-Man. Then our find Peter is upset by what Tombstone tells him. So when going to fight as Spidey, Black Cat is taken by Craven. Then our take is Spidey rescues Black Cat, takes her to police for arrest, because Spidey doesn't want to deal with it. Craven traps Spidey, finds out Peter Parker is Spidey, tells Tombstone, who he is working for. That's going to be our take. Okay, so hello, Comic Vantage. How are you? For The Amazing Spider-Man 3, our U was focusing on Peter Parker, we said. Our need is that, if I remember correctly from the first two movies, Peter Parker is all about like searching for his parents. So that's going to be our main main point. And so our go will be Spidey goes to the Daily Bugle, and he'll go to Oscorp to find more information about his parents. While he's there, he'll run into the Black Cat. And then Tombstone will appear, try to rob a bank. Spidey will stop Tombstone's thugs, realize what's going on. And then when he goes to tell Black Cat, that's when Kraven will appear, fight Spider-Man. And then after that, I came up with that Peter is upset when he finds out that Tombstone doesn't give him the information he wants about his parents. So when Peter comes back later that night as Spider-Man, Black Cat is taken hostage by Kraven, so Spider-Man feels like it's like his responsibility to go after Black Cat and like save her because he doesn't want the same thing that happened to Gwen to happen to her. And then Black Cat or Spider-Man will fight Kraven. That'll be like one of the big fights. Black Cat will get away, but Spider-Man will end up after the fight finding her, taking her into custody. But it's going to be a trap. That's when Kraven, like, he's going to do something. We can't use Gwen. He doesn't really have like something to push him over the edge. I don't know. But anyways, Spider-Man and Kraven will fight. Kraven will find out Peter Parker is Spider-Man, tell the news to Tombstone, because that's who Kraven's hired by to find Spider-Man. So that's our take. And then after the take is the return. So I think our return will be that Spider-Man realizes that even though he might feel that Gwen's death is on him and like he has to push people away, I'm gonna write this down, has to be alone. Realizes he can't save the city alone. Can't save NYC alone and needs help, even if it involves people dying that try to help him. I think that would be interesting because then it goes back to the whole Spider-Man thing of with great power comes a great responsibility. So after Amazing Spider-Man 2, Peter's like in this place of life where like he doesn't know what to do and he doesn't want other people to end up like Gwen. So over the course of this movie, if he learns that through like Black Cat, who's going to be in this movie and trying to help him, and he's like, hey, I can't do this alone anymore. And he is learns that once again, with great power comes great responsibility, and if you try to be a hero, it's life and death situations. I think that would be really good. So that's our return. So we'll say Spider-Man realizes he can't save New York City alone and needs help, even if it involves people dying. Meanwhile, Craven is upset at Tombstone because we'll say Tombstone doesn't want to go after Peter Parker, or Tombstone doesn't care about Spider-Man, only Peter Parker. So Craven kills Tombstone and attacks Spider-Man himself. And I think this will be because this is the point of the story where Spider-Man has to return from where he began, and it's kind of like a full circle moment. So Spider-Man realizes he can't save New York City alone and needs help from Black Cat or other superheroes that go on, and involves like life or death work. While that's going on, we could have Craven talking to Tombstone, and Tombstone can be the supplier of all of Craven's gear and all of his money he needs throughout this movie, since he's the one that hired him. And what could end up happening is Tombstone could be like, I don't care about this Spider-Man guy. I only need to make sure that Peter Parker doesn't get in my way again. Meanwhile, Craven is here to hunt Spider-Man. That's his job. So Craven can get rid of Tombstone, take over his crime lord agency, be the big head that he wants to be, and go after Spider-Man. Go after Spider-Man himself. And then the change is that Spidey and Black Cat they'll defeat Craven. Will defeat Craven. Who goes to jail? Meets Sinister Six members. Black Cat leaves town. Tells Spidey, see you around. While Peter grows from Gwen. And and Aunt May introduces MJ. I think that's pretty good. So, one more time, I'll just run it through. Don't want to keep these videos super long, but it's hard when you're making a whole story. So, Peter Parker dresses up as Spider-Man and he fights New York City bad guys. That's our character. That's our you. Our need is Peter Parker is searching for answers about his parents to find out why they disappeared. May doesn't want to talk about it. She wants to kind of like be weird and ignore about it. The go, Spidey runs into Black Cat at Oscorp while looking about info for parents. Search is that info is found and his parents are tied to Tombstone and Spider-Man is going to confront him, but Craven appears, he'll attack a building at New York City, make his presence known. Then Peter is upset by what Tombstone tells him about his parents, so when going as Spider-Man to confront him, Black Cat is taken by Craven and Spider-Man has to go save her. Our take is that Spidey rescues Black Cat and takes her to the police, puts her under arrest, so that way she's out of the picture. Craven then traps Spidey from there, finds out he's Peter Parker, is Spider-Man, and tells Tombstone who Craven is working for. The return is then Spider-Man realizes he can't save New York City alone and needs help, even if it involves people dying. Meanwhile, Craven is upset at Tombstone because Tombstone doesn't care about Spider-Man, only wants Peter Parker out of the picture. So Craven kills Tombstones and attacks Spidey himself with all of the information, while Spider-Man rescues Black Cat from the police, so that way they can both take down Craven together. And our change is that Spidey and Black Cat defeat Craven, and Craven then will go to jail, meet other Sinister Six members. Black Cat then leaves town, tells Spidey she'll be around, and then Peter grows from Gwen, and Aunt May introduces Mary Jane Watson, and it's a happy ending, character arc complete. So just like that, I did that in 50 minutes. Let's see if next week I could get it down to 40. Try to get fast at this. But that is what if Boxes of Comics was in charge of The Amazing Spider-Man 3. So hopefully you sat through, you liked it. Please leave feedback. Tell me what you like from this series, what you don't like. Yeah, and I will see you next time on Boxes of Comics. And I don't know what I'll do next week. I'm thinking maybe Batman 89, because there's 2 movies there that are from Tim Burton. So if I make a third Tim Burton Batman movie, I could do that. I could do a third Incredibles movie. I could do a third Fantastic Four movie from the 2000s. So options are pretty up and at 'em while this is going. But yeah, be on the lookout for an actual video later this week. And we will see you next time on Boxes of Comics. Have a good night.